Alright, so if you are looking for that sweet long-range lens for sports, wildlife, or even spying on your neighbor in the world's smallest full-frame lens, Tamron could be your choice. No, seriously, don't spy on your neighbors, that's just creepy. Let's get into the video. Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's Jason here, all the way down under. Now today we're going to be doing a video on the Tamron A7c to 300 4.5 to 6.3. Now Justin from Tamron once again was kind enough to send this review copy over for testing, and oh man, I was actually shocked by this lens. I mean, Sony doesn't really have many options when it comes to full frame telephoto lenses, but this lens, yeah, it does have a few cons, but spoiler alert, the pros do outweigh the cons. Now I just want to quickly mention that even though it's a variable aperture of f4.5 to 6.3, this doesn't mean that this lens is garbage. Now, it honestly annoys me that when people talk trash about lenses that aren't G-Master lenses or fast aperture lenses. Yes, G-Master lenses, you know, have their place. Don't get me wrong, it's amazing. I just bought the 24mm 1.4 G-Master lens, and yeah, it's great, it's amazing, but this lens still, yeah, it's a budget lens, but it's not trash. But all you need to do is look at the person behind the camera. That is your limitation right there. So this Tamron A7c to 300 f4.5-6.3 Di3 RXD has a focal length of 70mm all the way through to 300 on the full frame sensor. Now it has 15 elements and 10 groups, has a maximum aperture of f4.5 to f32, and it only has 7 aperture blades, which will actually test the bokeh in this video as well. Now it has a standard 67mm filter thread, which you'll pretty much find on most of the Tamron lenses, which is personally damn awesome because what's this? This is the 17 to 28. I'm shooting on the 28 to 75 right now, and this is the same, you know, that 67mm filter thread. Freaking awesome. Love it for those ND filters. Now it is a little bit taller than the 28 to 75, little brother at 148mm, and it only weighs 545 grams. Now it is super light for its size. But anyway, let's have a look at the image quality I got from this lens.
Kissed my face, smiled on my soul, told me a story too good to grow old. Wide open space, joy in my heart, in the gardens of Manitou Park. I'm homesick most for a place I don't know, but I knew before.
So you can see the bokeh is nice and smooth, and it is surprisingly good. I really love the images you can actually get from this lens. I did pair this with the Sony A7 III, and I was able to use this in APS-C crop mode as well, which gave me that extra 1.5 reach. Now, don't get me wrong, the 1.5 reach, you do lose image quality when it's in photo mode with the APS-C, but you know, you still get enough image quality if you are posting it on Facebook or Instagram anyway, because that turns that lens into a 450mm lens on full frame. Now that is an incredible range, and I was able to do bird photography. Like, I never do wildlife photography ever. It is definitely not my forte. I'm definitely not interested in it, but I was able to snap some gorgeous shots of my little girl. Now, I love just sitting back and watching her play from a distance, and capturing these images are just so special to me. I'm just able to keep this forever and show her in the future, and even show it to her kids. So it's really cool to sort of do that. And there isn't anything in my full frame kit that will able to get me that close to her and or let her do a thing and I'm at a distance. It's just the bokeh, the lens compression. It's so nice. It looks so good, and I'm honestly not used to it. It's great. The only thing I've got is pretty much the 85mm f1.8 by Sony, and that's pretty much the longest lens I've got. Now, I think the biggest pro of this lens, I guess, is the versatility. Paired with the 28-75, you really have a brilliant combination. Even if you did have the 17-28, you know, you've got that whole range from 17 all the way up to 300. Now, that is a solid zoom kit right there. Now, another couple of pros is probably the lens sharpness. Now, I was very surprised. It is damn sharp and it performs very well. The one notable fact though is that it was always sharp in the center without a doubt at 70mm all the way through to 300. But the corners were a little bit soft when it was about 70 all the way up to about maybe 100, 135. But then when you zoomed out from about 150-ish, that's when the lens it blew my mind. It's almost like they built the lens to perform the best at the higher range. So from about 200 to 300, or maybe 150 to 300, it was sharp in the center and in the corners. The contrast was really good. It had a little vignetting, but other than that, this lens performed really good from 150 to 300, from 70 to 300. You don't necessarily need perfect edge sharpness. Like if it's sharp in the center, I am super happy. But in terms of autofocus speed as well, I didn't notice pretty much any difference when it comes to all the other Tamron lenses, like, you know, the 17-28 or the 28-75 or even the 70-300 that I was just using. You even compare it to my other lenses and it was pretty much the same. It all depends on the camera you are actually using. I know the A7S's focusing system is incredible, like ridiculously incredible. The A7 III is still ridiculously sharp as well. Now, the one immediate thing I didn't like from the get-go is that it didn't have a lens lock. Why didn't you include the lens lock? They included this in the 28-200, which was recently released as well before this. And I don't know why they didn't include it on this. It really baffles me because, I mean, it's not a necessity that you need to have that lock. But, you know, if you are having it on a lanyard like this, letting it hang, the lens will start to undo itself and fully extend. You know, that can be quite annoying and it'll start slapping around in your leg. Yeah, I guess that is a bit of a con. It all depends on you. If you are one of those travel photographers that tend to keep their, you know, camera dangling there or on your side, wherever, I tend to not do that. I would put it straight in my bag. But, you know, if you are traveling, you do want to keep it accessible. That could be a bit of a con there. So another con is pretty minor, but it could be major for some as well, and that is no OSS. Now, obviously, it is a budget lens, and you do need to start cutting costs, and there is no optical steady shot. So if you do have to rely on the lens stability and you don't have IBIS, then that may be an issue with you. But luckily, a lot of the Sony full-frame alpha cameras do have IBIS, so it still really performs well with the IBIS. Now the aperture, some may think this is a con, but it is an extremely common range when it comes to longer focal lengths. Now, I guess the other competitors are like the Sony, I think it's the 100-400, I think it's an f4.5-5.6, but it is an OSS and it is a G Master lens as well. Other than that, you've got the 70-300, which is very similar by Sony. It's the 4.5-5.6 OSS G lens. Now these are pretty much the only two competitive lenses out there at the moment, and they are quite expensive. The G Master lens is like 3 or 4 times the price of the Tamron, and the other Sony lens is about, you know, twice the price or even 1.5 times the price. So it's a bit of a given. I mean, you essentially are paying for slightly better optical performance and OSS. That's pretty much it. I personally think you can still get insane images out of this, and if you are doing professional work, maybe consider the G Master lens for the overall image quality and focal range, but you know, spending 2 to 3 to 4 times than this lens, you'd have to justify what kind of professional work you do. So Tamron, all up, well done. You've done a great job. Another great lens from you guys that is affordable, and it is a nice budget lens. Like I said, it does have some cons, it does have some pros. No lens is perfect. I mean, unless the Howard G Master lenses, they're pretty much perfect. But you've produced a nice budget lens, and it does come a recommendation from me. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. That would be absolutely amazing. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you already haven't. And yeah, thanks, Justin. Big shout out to you for sending me this, and I hope to work with you guys again soon. But yeah, if you guys want to see any more of these, comment below. I'd really like to hear your thoughts and what you would actually like to see on my channel next. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get it.